All right, even for a low and slow guy like myself, you've got to have a banging burger recipe. And I find that, you're always trying to chase that perfect burger. You want to get that restaurant style, but you want it to have your own flair, like all that stuff. So today we're going to review Guga's 100-year burger recipe. Now, on the quest for a great burger, I will try anything. I love burgers. I would eat them all the time if I could. But Guga is known for some wild recipes. Like he's done like a Cheeto dust crusted steak. He's done like a microwaved brisket. He's done a 4-year dry aged steak that he forgot about and then brought it back out. The guy does wild stuff. So I'm really curious to see what kind of recipe he found and if it's any good. So love Guga. His show is insane. And I think he's even started doing some stuff with Gordon Ramsay, which is fun. Like, I'm not sure if it was like with him, or I know that Gordon has reviewed some of his stuff. So let's see what Guga has to offer on this. It'll be super cool to see. And yeah, let's get right into it.
There's one thing that makes burgers amazing. The Maillard reaction, the golden brown caramelization that is formed with high heat is just something to die for. This, to me, is why burgers are so good. However, today we're gonna throw all that out the window, and here's why. My good friend Steve from Not Another Cooking Show said that this 100-year-old burger technique is to die for.
You're really not going to believe how this burger gets made. It's a historic burger that only needs onions, beef, and get this, water. There's no oil, there's no butter, there's no cheese.
There's no way that that can be good.
Exactly.
But again, when I think about it, I've done so many crazy experiments that sounded disgusting, and they turned out fantastic. I can't say anything, at least if I don't give it a try. Enough talking, let's begin.
The first thing we're going to
Yeah, I do want to point out that like the Maillard reaction is one of the things that makes delicious food delicious food. It's one of those things where it's where the magic of the food happens. It's a series of weird, complex domino effect chemistry reactions that end up, like he said, with the high heat to really give it that browning, to give it, it's part of like, that's one reaction in addition to caramelization. Like that is where the food resides. I've even heard it said like, if the food smells good when you're cooking it, now you're engaging the Maillard reaction. So I'm really curious to see like what this does, and if they're going to cook it like on the grill, if they're going to sear it. Are they? I mean, part of that kind of looked boiled. I don't know. Let's see what he's doing, because this is insane.
need is onions. These are yellow sweet onions. And for this recipe, I'm hoping that they're going to work out great. Now, one of the biggest things about this burger is to cut the onions extremely thin. You can try to do it with your knife if you like, but using a mandolin definitely does the job a lot better. And it's also way faster.
Yeah, also the fastest way to cut your finger off.
Just make sure that you are extra careful. And you want them super thin. I mean, check this out. And don't forget, you want a good amount, a very generous amount. The next important ingredient is the beef. I'm using 80-20. At least I think that's the best ratio for burgers.
It 100% is. Everything else may be a little bit healthier, but that's the perfect fat to meat ratio.
Now, one ingredient I've never used before on burgers is water. We're going to be basically boiling and steaming our meat. Next up is the buns. Now, this one, I'm going to use my favorite, which is brioche buns.
Ooh.
But if that's not what you like, you can always change it up. So to make these burgers, that's it. There's no other ingredient. I can't use oil, butter, extreme fire, or cheese, which is something I love on burgers. Wow, this is a very interesting burger. In regards to tools, you want to use a nice deep pan. This carbon steel one from Maiden is perfect. And here's the technique. First, we light it up and put the pan right on top. Keeping it under medium-high heat, I added a good amount of onions. You want to stir it up a little bit until you start.
See that onion stuff right there that you see, that browning, that's also part of the Maillard. It's like the magic of food.
Getting a little bit of color. As soon as it starts caramelizing like this, it's time to add some water. And the first thing you want to do is to move the onions around so that you can deglaze the pan. Then you want to let it cook until the water reduces and becomes an onion broth. As the next thing to do is to push the onions to the side and add in your meat. Now you want to slightly smash them, but not overly smash. The goal is to get them the same size of your buns. Once that's done, you want to immediately season the patties. I kept it real simple, just like Steve did. a good amount of salt,
Pepper.
followed by freshly ground black pepper. And as you can see, this is working quite nicely. The best part about this technique for me is that there is no splattering at all. And of course, don't forget to season the
It
other
doesn't look
side
that
as
good,
well.
though.
When it was needed, I went ahead and added a little bit more of water. The next thing to do was to go ahead and add a good
little
amount
bit.
of onions on top. I'm talking about all of it. You don't want to leave any of this goodness behind. And once you have done so, don't forget to smash it a little bit more. Keep it
Okay, this is going against everything that like you're supposed to like outside of an actual smash burger, you never press it down ever. It's a great way to dry out all your beef. So he's pushing it down, he's boiling it, and we all know that just because you've boiled something or you've cooked it in the crock pot all day in water, that's not where like juiciness comes from. It comes from rendered fat. So this so far doesn't look very good. I'm curious to see where this goes and how it goes.
it nice and gentle. You don't want to overly smash the burgers. I think that's one of the keys. Once it's fully
Yeah,
cooked,
see?
take a look. Now that looks
No,
fantastic.
it does not.
Because the next thing to do is to go ahead and assemble this burger. As
Okay.
always, toast your buns, friends. It
Yeah,
will be
sure.
better. Now to finish this burger up, this is how we assemble. First, on the bottom bun, I added a tiny bit of horseradish. On the
Ooh.
top bun, on the other hand, I went with ketchup, followed by spicy mustard. Mix all that up and set it aside. As the next step is to add that beautiful burger we just made, followed by the top bun.
Okay, it kind of looks good for sure, but it also looks like you boiled ground beef. I will withhold judgment on the flavor, but it doesn't look that great to me. Although I do love a sesame seed bun.
Now you take a look at this. I gotta be honest, it smells incredible in my
Sure.
kitchen. I have no idea how this is gonna taste because there's zero Maillard reaction, which is one of
Exactly.
the things I love the most about burgers. But after making a bunch of them, I can tell you one thing. This is a quick way to make burgers without
right,
making
looks
any
juicy.
mess. However, the big question is this a fantastic burger? Well, we're about to find out real shortly.
So this is a 100-year-old recipe,
got the
you know,
crow.
and it's still alive today. But I don't care if it's alive or not. I want to know if it tastes good.
Wait, it's a 100-year-old recipe.
Yeah, not burger.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say this is better not be a 100-year-old burger.
100-year-old burger.
Well, with me, you could probably expect that, right?
Yeah, that's why we were scared.
Give me your honest opinion. Let's see. Let's dig in, gentlemen. Now, I'm curious. You guys ready to go?
Ooh, she's thick.
She's real thick.
She's slippery too.
Leah, don't make a mess.
I'll try.
I like how they're eating on basically like what looks like tree trunks. Yeah, real rugged.
That's right.
Please. All right. Enough talking. Let's give it a go. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Wow.
That is really good.
Oh my god.
Yo, there's no crust on this burger, but I'm not missing the crust, everybody.
What?
I'm not missing it. You went for
No
a second bite
way.
already.
It's dripping everywhere.
It's so juicy.
This is actually surprisingly amazing. I was not
Oh my
expecting it
God.
to be this good. Like you said, it doesn't have that crust, but what it does have, it's very juicy.
Mm,
And that is different than a normal smash burger, and it's really good.
that's amazing.
I agree with Guga. I'm not missing the crust as much. And what I like the most, you didn't put regular mustard, you put spicy mustard. So it gives it that extra flavor.
Shout out to
Okay.
my good brother, Steve. This is pretty good, man. It's a different kind of burger.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
a smash burger has its place. This has its place. There's a reason why this has been done for 100 years and it's still going today. Obviously, there's cheese as well. Hey, hello, cheese.
It's
I just realized there's no cheese on
There's
this.
no cheese. You
not gonna go down easy if it's not cheesy.
didn't even
I
notice.
did not even notice. It's very flavorful.
It is like every time you take a bite, juices are literally just squirting out in your mouth, everybody. Oh,
That
that's.
sounded a little weird, Guga.
Okay, let's grow up there,
Now, the
Guga.
funny thing about this is that it's just 3 ingredients: water, meat, onions. That's it.
Oh,
Well, plus the
simple burger.
salt, the
Sounds easy to
pepper,
make.
the
Yeah, very
bun,
easy
the
to make.
mustard, the
And
ketchup.
It's thick, everybody. This is an amazing burger.
Okay, so that was interesting. I mean, first of all, that the juiciness I know is going to come because he has 80/20 beef. Like, I'm really curious to see though with that because the water is not going to give it the juiciness. But it may contribute to the way that the fat stays in the burger for some reason. That could be what it is. It's not just two, 3 ingredients. I mean, when you add the salt, the pepper, and all that kind of stuff, but it could be good. I think White Castle actually still does that. They have like a square griddle and it's got water in there and they put those little, the patties in there and they make it with the onions. So that could be kind of a recipe for that or like a basis of this recipe. So I think there's only one thing to do and that's actually to give this a shot. I'm going to try this. And I think what I'll do is I'll put it up against some smash burgers, which does have kind of like that Maillard reaction. You know, you get that nice crust, that noticeable crust from the, you know, kind of the more direct heat in the skillet, as opposed to like this watery method. I bet that this one will be delicious because you've got a lot of that onions in there, which for me is always kind of hit or miss. Like sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. That kind of caramelized onion taste. They even said it. They even said there is like this burger has its place. So I wonder, you know, if they had to choose this burger out of like your classic grill burger or a smash burger, if they would actually elevate this into the top. But that may, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's not good. So this will be really interesting to see. And I think we ought to give it a shot. So I'll definitely do that. Let's do this test. Let's see what it is. See if it tastes any good. Put it to the test. So that'll come up in a future video. And until then, stay tuned and thanks for joining.